important to have a white area in the painting because this is really what's going to make the colors really pop out and so forth. So this is kind of my roadmap. It's really necessary, I feel, to have something like this before you start painting, so you know where you're going, so there's not a lot of guesswork as you're painting, and that kind of ensures a bit more success with the finished product. So again, what I'm going to do also is I'm going to use warm colors next to cool colors, yellows against purples, oranges next to blues and so forth, pinks next to warm yellows, things like that. I want those two next to each other, but in the sky where the value is light, I want to keep all those tones the same strength, very light. Then when I do the dark areas down below, I'm going to have the same colors, only more saturated, darker, and I'm going to paint around the white area here. So let's start painting. Alright, I want to make sure my board is good and wet. Paper's wet, board's wet. Now, when I lay the paper down on the board, it's going to pretty much suck itself right down on there and it's not going to move. Then I can take some additional water, wet the rest of my paper, make sure it's good and wet. One thing I use is a 6B pencil for my sketch that I've made here, because a lot of times when you start wiping the paper down with a sponge and wet water, sometimes you can wipe off that image and then you have a hard time finding what you're painting. So it's good and wet. Now, once it's wet, I'm going to use a hand towel and I want to blot up my surface here. I don't want puddled water on here. The back of the paper and the the board that I'm just wet is going to keep the paper fairly wet throughout my painting process here. So I want to just kind of blot up a bit of the paper here so I don't have the puddles. But it's still going to be pretty damp, and it'll stay damp because of my wetting of the back side and the board and everything. Okay, that's pretty much got it. Now, I'm going to take my 2-inch brush and I'm going to start putting paint down. Now, I'm going to use a variety of cool paint and I'm going to use warm colors next to each other. I've added the interactive slow medium to my palette, so my paint is going to stay wet longer. So I want to pick up some paint. Make sure when you put your colors down that they're very deliberate. Don't pat your colors on or dab your colors on. You want deliberate colors. Pick up some purple here. This is a beautiful purple. Put it down like that. It's a little strong, but because it's a water medium, I can soften that up, move it around. I don't get any hard edges because I've used the slow medium. Now I'm going to take a warm color, add it right next to the cool colors, just like that. I'm cleaning my brush between color applications. It's vital that you rinse your brush when you put a different color on, or you're going to end up making mud. So now I'm putting a little yellow over here next to the purple. That's warm against cool. I'm going to take some ultramarine and I'm going to cut in a little bit around my whites, just like that, like that, like that. Kind of do that. Don't try fixing things when you're painting. That just makes a mess. Let the paint do what it wants to do. Another warm color over here. Just like that. Pick up a burnt sienna over here. That's a nice warm color. And I'm going to put it next to this blue, which is a cool color. Just like that. Paint stays wet. Now I've got some warm colors over in this area. I'll pick up a little purple. And again, I'm keeping my values light. Keeping my values light. I'm not any particular direction of painting. I'm just kind of putting areas down. Here's a blue down here. Get some of these warms over here. Clean out my brush. I'll pick up some of this brilliant magenta. This color is beautiful. Just like that. I've got a little splash there. It's no big deal. I can come in here, just block in a little bit. That's blue there. I'm rinsing my brush again. I can't stress that enough, that you've got to use warm, you got to, rinse out your brush so you don't end up with mud. See how the color is mixing on the paper? That's just really neat stuff. Take some more warm colors here. This ultramarine blue. I want to take some of this blue and make sure I got a good contrast on the side of the lighthouse. Don't worry if the colors run into each other. It's not important. Actually, it adds a lot to the painting, just as it is. And you'll notice that I'm not getting any hard edges, I'm not getting any blossoms, because I've added that slow medium to the paint, and it's keeping the paint wet. That's what's just great about this technique, is keeping the paint wet. It doesn't blossom on you. The colors stay brilliant. Now I'm putting some warms against that magenta there. Big, deliberate strokes. Pull in some more violets, more purple colors. Just like that. It's nothing to worry about. Don't try fixing things. Just let the paint go. This is a red gold that I love. That's one of my favorite colors that Interactive has. Beautiful color. Nice, big, bold streaks. I got a heavy area like that. Don't even mess with that. That's just adds variety to the painting. Now I'm coming in with some cool colors against that red gold there. Now, while this paint is still wet, that's pretty good the way it is. Now I'm going to take the same colors and I'm going to really pile it on for the foreground. I want the real strong, bold colors in the foreground. And I'm going to take some purple here and catch the bottom of this lighthouse. Just like that. If it runs into the sky, don't worry about it. It doesn't make a whole lot of difference. I want some good contrast, the lights and the dark here. Then I'm going to clean my brush again. I keep harping on that, but it's so important. Take some of this red gold with some orange mixed in there. Let's just get some here. Let's just drop it in right there. Look what that's doing. That's just beautiful. If you got some little white areas, don't worry about it. Oh man, look at that. Now I want to take some ultramarine, which is a cool color. Got that. Take this ultramarine. I want it strong.